This is just a wonderful FA Cup occasion. It's the fourth round. It's Preston North End up against Tottenham Hotspur, your commentary team up in the northwest of the country. Former Manchester City and West Ham winger Trevor Sinclair alongside your commentator Jim Proudfoot.
Well, in the environs of Deepdale, Preston's most famous sun is immortalised in sculpture. On a saturated pitch at Chelsea back in 1956, Sir Tom Finney controlled an awkward pass with a lunge. His immaculate balance complemented by the plumes of water that sprayed up from the sodden playing surface. It was captured on photo, a brilliant snapshot of a master at work. It remains an iconic image, such a breathtaking shot that it was made into stone to commemorate him. Now, Finney's mastery brought him 76 caps for England, whilst he'd almost single-handedly led Preston to promotion to the top flight in 1951. Thanks to his influence, they enjoyed three top three finishes before his retirement in 1960. Without him, they were relegated straight away, and they haven't returned to the elite since. Now, weekly matches against elite teams remain the ultimate target. The aim for Preston this year, like most, to end that hiatus from the top flight, which is now into a painful 7th decade. For now, though, nights like this one are there to be savoured. Premier League opposition back at Deepdale. And in the visitors' ranks tonight, one of only 6 men who've scored more goals for England than Tom Finney. Harry Kane's next international goal will bring him his country's all-time record. His next Spurs goal in the eyes of the club will see him break Jimmy Greaves' long-standing Tottenham mark of 266. A stellar milestone, but if it's coming his way tonight, it'll be as a substitute. But it's silverware that he truly craves along with the records. And it's 15 years since Spurs last won a major trophy. It's the FA Cup that brings them their best chance of ending that drought this time around. And with 10 Premier League sides having already been eliminated from this season's competition, there'll be a number of clubs who are eyeing their chances, thinking that this year it's all opening up very nicely. But it has already been an FA Cup campaign that's underlined that shocks still happen, that the implausible and the seemingly impossible can and do materialise. Preston hoping that this is one of those stellar nights with which they're always associated. This is how they line up. Woodman in goal, Story, Lindsay and Hughes, Brown, Ledson, Whiteman, McCann and Brady, Evans and Cannon. Spurs, Forster in goal, Tanganga, Sanchez and Longley, Doherty, Basuma, Bentancur and Sessegnon, Kulusevski, Son and Perisic, who's making his FA Cup debut tonight. Referee Peter Banks gets us underway, and Preston, white shirts, lily white shirts I should call them, dark blue shorts, they're kicking from right to left in this first half. And Spurs in their change kit of predominantly, well, sort of minty green, I guess you'd call it. And the perils of being a colourblind football commentator.
Turquoise.
That'll do, and it'll be cleared by Tanganga from the way to our left-hand side. Spurs, as I say, kicking from left to right, defending the Kop end of Deepdale in this first half. Preston defending the town end. The ball in the midfield with McCann. It's chipped inside the Spurs penalty area. Preston, you would expect, will start this game at a good tempo. And Spurs happy to hammer it away. Perisic chasing after this, but Lindsay's going to be there to mop up and lay it back for Woodman, who will take a touch and drive it forward right-footed from the edge of his penalty area. Where are the key battles for you tonight in this one?
I think in midfield, obviously the back three for Preston have got to look after Heung-min Son with his movement and his pace in behind. But I think the midfield battle, you look at the midfield for Preston, that they've got a lot of players in there. They've got 5 players in midfield, but 3 in the middle of the park. And Whiteman, Ledson and McCann, I think it's important that they get hold of this game and make sure that Tottenham don't dictate things too much.
Longley will play the ball forward over the halfway line to Son, who controls it. Son, a player in need of a goal. Just one in his last 17 games for club and country. His last FA Cup goals coming in the 4th round, but 3 years ago in a win against Southampton. It's Davinson Sanchez at the back for Spurs. Longley playing it forward. He, like Perisic, making his FA Cup debut tonight. It's easily cut out at the back by Lindsay for Preston. They'll work it forward, looking to try and get With the veteran striker Ched Evans in, headed on then by Whiteman down the right-hand touchline for Preston, but easily won back by Spurs. Longley mopping up, exchanging passes with Sessegnon. And work back through the midfield from Davison Sanchez down towards Tanganga and out towards Matt Doherty on this near touchline for Spurs. Doherty, a man who has played in the semi-finals of this competition in the past back in his Wolves days. Good early possession for Spurs. It's 0-0 with 2.5 gone at Deepdale on Talksport.
Yeah, most of the possession with Tottenham at the moment. I think when Preston do go long towards Ched Evans, they've got to make sure that if there's a knockdown, they're getting the second balls, and Whiteman did that really well then. He got on the second ball, but he couldn't control his pass, and a good little bit of hold-up play again there by the centre-forward, making sure he looks after the ball, protects it, wins his team the foul, and just takes a little bit of pressure off Preston now. We've got a free kick midway inside the own half. I have to say the home fans at Deepdale are playing their part. It's been a fantastic atmosphere.
Yeah, crowd of around 23,000 here tonight. The ball is swung for about 4,000 have made the journey up, supporting Tottenham. Sessegnon playing it to halfway. Perisic can control it. And has won the Coppa Italia and the Pokal in Germany in his club career. Bentancur inside the centre circle for Spurs. Now Tanganga making his way forward. Doherty keeping the width right on the right-hand touchline. The ball worked the other way instead for Bentancur. He can play it to his left. Longley thought about a shot, finds Sessegnon instead. Deep cross from him. Coming at the back post was Doherty. And it's headed away by Robbie Brady, and out of play for the first corner of the night, which goes Tottenham's way. 0-0.
Yeah, decent ball into the area there. Just outside the 6-yard box area. The goalkeeper can't come anywhere near that, and it's good defending at the far post by Robbie Brady. Kept his eye on the ball, made sure he got first contact. Some of them where you don't open your shoulder, you don't know what's coming in behind you, you can take a knock on the head, but he's shown his bravery there, took responsibility and got his head to the ball.
Robbie Brady, a man with plenty of Premier League experience, more than 150 games in the top flight in England. He's never got past this stage of the FA Cup though, never won a fourth round tie. Corner taken short for Spurs. Back to Son. Left-footed ball was too low as it was played inside the penalty area, and Brady could head it away. McCann can't bring it forward on the counter-attack. Kulusevski is in there buzzing around, trying to win it back. Whiteman involved. Tanganga has done well to emerge with the ball at his feet. Play back towards Bentancur, taking it on towards the edge of the area. Just sold Tanganga short, and it became a hospital pass, really. He lunged in to try and get there, Tanganga, and got caught. And it's going to be a free kick to Spurs, about 10 yards outside the penalty area left of centre. Yeah, dangerous area. Looked like a heavy challenge, that, and he stayed down, the Spurs player. I'm not sure if he's just play acting, but it did look like a heavy challenge. But again, the centre of the park, where I said the key battle is going to be, very congested. There's a lot of players there, and the ball's a little bit of a pinball going from one player to the next. But it's a dangerous situation, just on the left side, like you say, about 8 to 10 yards outside the box, and I'm sure Tottenham will be looking to work the Preston goalkeeper, Freddie Woodman, from this occasion. Freddie Woodman, the player signed from Newcastle, godson of Gareth Southgate, as has been well documented in the past. He had a really good record at the start of this season. Only conceded 5 goals in his first 13 games for the club, but they've come at a rate of nearly 2 a game past him since then. Not down to him exclusively by any stretch of the imagination. But first test for him here. He's lined up a wall of 4 in white shirts right on the edge of the box. Spurs have got 2 players standing this near side of that wall, so that's the left-hand side of the wall as Woodman is looking at it. His view of the ball obscured here. Basuma runs away from it. It's a right-footed effort, straight low into the wall. Davison Sanchez leaves it, and a shot comes in from a tight angle from Kulusevski, which deflects away and goes into the side netting for another corner.
Yeah, nice and alert there by Kulusevski. Got onto it first, hit the shot low and hard, and it was a good block by the Preston defender to make sure the ball doesn't go on target. Corner for Preston.
Not the worst free kick by Perisic in any stretch of the imagination. So Spurs with a couple of early corners. They've worked this one short as well, like they did the last one. Play back by Son. This is Yves Basuma. Basuma to Sessegnon, the deepest of Tottenham's outfield players. No first time ball in from him. Basuma leaving it for Bentancur to bring it forward. Bentancur, it was a poor shot by his standards. A low skidder which would have gone well wide had it even made the edge of the penalty area. And Preston conclude he's been in really good goal scoring form, Rodrigo Bentancur. 4 goals in his last 8 games coming into this with late winners against Bournemouth and Leeds in that run. Here's Tanganga. Tanganga on halfway. Plays it back for Davinson Sanchez. Plenty of possession for Tottenham as the low cloud and mist really begins to roll in here in Lancashire tonight. It's 0-0 in the 8th minute.
Yeah, they've just got to stay patient, enjoy this defending part of the game, because as you know, you'd expect Tottenham to have more possession, so they've got to enjoy this part of the game, carry on communicating and delaying, and just making sure that them big gaps in the middle of the park don't start to...
It's our penultimate live FA Cup tie for you today on Talksport. Manchester United against Reading is coming up from Old Trafford. After this, that kicks off at 8 o'clock tonight. 2 more for you tomorrow. Brighton, Liverpool at 1:30. Wrexham, Sheffield United at 4:30. And West Ham's trip to Derby completes the weekend Monday night, which is 7:45 kick-off. The build-up starting at 7 on Talksport. Already through Manchester City and Leicester and Leeds and Southampton. Bristol City from the Championship. No Premier League casualties today. Arsenal went last night, of course. Fulham held by Sunderland, have to go to Wearside for a replay. And Championship side Luton held at home by League 2 Grimsby. That was amongst the headlines today.
That's some trip.
I'm hoping I'll be going. I haven't been to Blundell Park for a few years. I'd love to go to that. The ball is over on the right-hand side of the Preston midfield, and they've won a free kick. And a chance just to draw their collective breath. Whiteman, the captain, standing over it and playing the free kick down to the experienced Hughes, but the ball was moving, and so he's going to have to take it again. It's 0-0. Preston's home form's been a real problem for them in the recent past. 4 home defeats in a row in the league. They lost their last home game here 4-0 against Norwich. And in that run of 4 successive defeats, they've conceded 11. They're trying to lay a solid defensive foundation today, but a lot of the early action has been in and around their final third. Preston pumping this free kick long, and Spurs will bring it away. Sessegnon trying to release Perisic, who's still quick for particularly a man of his miles on the clock. Did really well. Good injection of tempo there, Perisic. Couldn't get the cross in. Preston bring it clear. A little bit too much on the ball forward. Forster comes out and deals with it and gets it away from the on-rushing Tommy Cannon and puts it out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Preston left-hand side by Robbie Brady. 10 gone 0-0.
Yeah, end-to-end, obviously you'd expect Tottenham to have the majority share of possession, but I think Preston are dealing with this quite well. The intensity of the game is quite high, but they're staying calm. They're keeping their communication going. They're making sure that no big gaps open up between the midfield and the defence, and I think they've got to make sure they do that. If the ball does go forward, they've got to squeeze up and make sure that there's no big gaps that are developed, because I think that's where your players like Bentancur can get on the ball and start showcasing what a great technician he is. Clumsy challenge from him earlier. I was surprised that the referee didn't have a little word with him, because it was late and high, but he got away with it. But up till now, I think Ryan Lowe will be pretty pleased with how this game started off.
A brief hiatus here at Deepdale because Ali McCann, the Preston midfielder, has just got a little bit of blood visible. So he's been cleaned up. A little bit on his hand as well. He needs a new shirt. Makes his way down towards this near touchline with the blood shirt on. So Ali McCann now the man with no number and name for the remainder of this first half at least, which is 11 minutes old. Still Preston 0, Spurs 0. No sights of the Tottenham goal for Preston North End up to this point. Throw taken down the North End left. Brady tried to help it on. Evans battling against Davinson Sanchez, who gets there first, but just flicks it straight out of play for a throw that Preston will take about 10 yards from the corner flag.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a hopeful ball down the side for himself to chase. He was never going to get there in front of Sanchez, but he kept him honest, made sure he made up the ground, put him under a bit of pressure, and he didn't fancy going back to his goalkeeper, Fraser Forster, and he's won his team a throw-in.
Throw-in which Robbie Brady's going to take. McCann showing for it. Evans making a darting run, gets a goal side of Tanganga. It's thrown into the feet of McCann, and it came off those feet, straight back out of play for a throw, which Spurs will take, and will try and take from the wrong place. They're going to manage as well. Doherty nicking 4 or 5 yards down this near touchline. It's cleared long by Tanganga towards halfway. Perisic flicking it on. Son chasing after it. He read the bounce beautifully. But Preston still can clear, and do so with Andy Hughes. Straight out of play for another throw, which will be taken on the Spurs right. Andy Hughes, another with plenty of experience. Man who scored in his only previous fourth round FA Cup tie, which was back in his Peterborough days. The Welshman playing on the left of back three for Preston today. Sessegnon has it and goes back inside his own half for Longley. Longley to Davison Sanchez. And I think the pattern of the game is firmly established here, Trevor. Spurs are going to have the majority of possession, and it's just what Preston can do to curtail the attacking threat.
Absolutely, and as you can see, they've gone from that 3 at the back to 5, 3 in midfield and then 2 up top, and that even might become a 4 as the game goes on. One of the centre forwards just slipping into that midfield area and making sure they make the extra numbers. But listen, we expected this, and they've got to kind of try and enjoy this and stick together and make sure they stay in the game and don't concede any silly goals unnecessarily.
Here's Basuma, slipping the ball down the left-hand side of the area for Perisic. Perisic tried to release Sessegnon, as well read by Whiteman, who clears towards halfway. Preston winning the seconds in there. McCann trying to drill a ball out towards the left-hand touchline, but way ahead of Brady. It's very much a back five. Even when Preston had possession, it's still a back five. And
I just think on that transition there, that's where you need a midfielder to get his foot on the ball, have that little bit of composure, that little bit of bravery, get his foot on the ball, play a pass to a white shirt and try and build and take this pressure off the Preston back five.
4 from Basuma. Perisic. Longley working in the feet of Son. Son doing well. It's a really good turn. McCann picked his pocket, just stuck out a right foot. A slightly awkward angle, but he was able to divert the ball back, and Jack Story clears for North End. There's a little bit of wrestling going on with Cannon involved with Davison Sanchez. The referee, Peter Banks, just pointed at the pair of them, and play continues.
Yeah, they're doing that really well now. They've got a shield in front of Chad Evans to make sure that long ball, when they do try and find him, it's a very, very difficult ball, almost impossible to get it into Chad Evans, and then they're winning possession and straight back at this Preston back five.
Woodman's got the ball in his hands. Talking about Preston's home record, they've only won 3 here all season so far in the league, that is, beating West Brom, Middlesbrough and Swansea. They did win the 3rd round cup tie on home soil, beating Huddersfield by 3-1, given a helping hand with a Tom Lee's own goal, and then Diaby and Brown completed the victory. Brown over on the far side playing again tonight, the Irish right wing back for Preston North End, who's making his 360th appearance for the club.
He started well. He stuck to his task when he's on one-on-one situations with Perisic or Sessegnon, and he's winning that battle at the moment down the right-hand side for Preston.
Sanchez to Tanganga. Tanganga square to his left-hand side. And Spurs will bring the ball forward over the halfway line in towards Sessegnon. Sessegnon playing it back again. Tottenham in the midfield with Rodrigo. Bentancur. Possession in this kind of area, which is 15 yards inside Preston territory, is pretty easy to come by. There's no real pressure on the ball when Spurs have it here. Preston more content just to sit with a tight, compact defensive shape. Try and funnel Spurs out into wide positions to use the touchline to be an additional defender, if anything. Oh, Son swinging a left-footed effort in from the edge of the area, and it must have moved in the air because Woodman dived to his right-hand side, and then the ball was always cutting back into a more central area. He had to adjust his hands and move them very quickly across his body to bring the ball safely in. But it remains 0-0. We played 16 minutes on Talksport.
Yeah, nice little bit of sharp play, as we expect from Heung-min Son. Inside of the foot, outside of the left foot. He looked to bend it into that top corner, probably just brought it in a little, screwed it a little bit too close to the centre, and I think that's why the goalkeeper, Woodman, was looking like it was going to go to the far post, and it almost caught him out. But he made the adjustment, and it was a comfortable save in the end.
Doherty back inside his own penalty area, where Spurs will calmly and confidently play their way out from the back. Basuma to Sanchez. Now forward towards the former Brighton man again. Longley letting the ball run past him. Brought back in from the left-hand touchline by Sessegnon. Forward into the feet of Son, just dropping in between the lines for Preston. Son turning it back. Bentancur couldn't work it forward effectively. Preston clear, but gave it away immediately. Straight back to Rodrigo Bentancur. Now to his left is Basuma. Further left from him is Longley. Ball takes a A little deflection on its way in. It hit Alan Brown. Woodman stopped it. It might have been going towards the top left-hand corner, but in stopping it, his momentum has taken him over the line and out of play for another Tottenham corner, which is their third of the night. And it's been constant Spurs pressure, not pressure with a capital P. They haven't forced a difficult save out of Woodman so far, but nearly all of the play concentrated away to our right-hand side in the early stages of this game, in front of the town end of the ground here at Deepdale. So this latest corner, the first two work short. This one in towards the near post is headed away. It bounces back down towards the edge of the penalty area where Spurs can't make anything of it. It's cleared. Back out of the Tottenham left-hand side, where once more they're going to be able to build from a deeper position. Longley still forward. Sanchez in the penalty area as well, but Perisic can't get himself into a position where he can fire the cross in. Preston clear it. Evans winning it and then bringing it forward over halfway. He's got very little in the way of support, but Cannon is up there with him. Whiteman making a run forward. Evans stopped and then committed. Longley turned away from him quite beautifully. McCann now down towards the Preston north end left. Here's Brown, finding himself on the left for a moment. His initial cross is cleared. Brady in a more central area, playing it back. Story through the midfield for Ledson. First time ball forward, knocked away by Tanganga. Preston's turn to try and apply a little bit of pressure here. Alan Brown just lets Tottenham off the hook with a high hung ball towards the far post, and that was very comfortably claimed by Fraser Forster, but probably Preston's best move of the game so far. It was, and the ball was just lofted a little bit too close to the goalkeeper, and he's a tall man, so that was an easy take for him. But looking at Chad Evans there and his impact, that was the catalyst for that move. You know, he showed a little bit of composure, got hold of the ball, little nutmegs to retain possession when he was under pressure, and then brought his teammates into play, and I think that's what Preston need more of. I think earlier when they won the ball back, Liam Lindsay just hit it anywhere. He's got to have a little bit more composure than that and try and keep the ball and pick out a white shirt. Evans has scored 6 goals in his last 8 games for Preston. Here's Tanganga. Rare opportunity for him in the starting lineup for Spurs tonight. It's only his 4th appearance of the season. Brown back in his more customary position on the right-hand side of the back 5 for Preston, letting the ball run out of play, and it's a throw that they'll take midway inside their own half. It's Preston North End 0, Spurs 0. Manchester United against Reading to come. That kicks off at 8 o'clock. And our FA Cup coverage on Talksport is brought to you with Carling. We're made by our mates, 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. Ball thrown down the Preston right, brought under control by Basuma. McCann is in there trying to make something happen. Player's got a great cup pedigree from his time north of the border, where he was in that St Johnstone side that did the cup double a couple of years back. And he's involved here again as Preston win themselves another free kick. Another opportunity to get the big guns forward, and Spurs will keep a very high line. Now, only about 15 yards away from the ball and a good 8 or 9 outside the penalty area. But that's not going to stop the Preston centre-halves, the likes of Lindsay and Co making their way forward here. Well, it's important that Fraser Forster's on his toes here. Make sure his starting position's right. It makes it more difficult because it's on the right-hand side and it's a left-footed player, so he can't take too many liberties with his starting position, or else he could go for goal. But you can see him there, marching orders, ready to go. Forster stands, poised, edge of the 6-yard box. Spurs back line will drop in as it's fired inside the penalty area. Heading down, a left-footed effort was well struck there by Hughes. Tottenham had players in the way and can clear. Back it comes in from Whiteman, but not to good effect. Yeah, great set piece, good loft on the ball, good curl into the right area. Lindsay first contact, and it was a snapshot which was blocked. But again, promising signs there for Preston. I think it looks like their best opportunities are going to come from set pieces, because you look at both wing backs, Alan Brown and Robbie Brady, they're not really getting forward when Preston win the ball, so it's going to be difficult for them to carve something out and opportunities in free play. But from set pieces, that looks like probably their best opportunity. Sanchez has the ball inside the centre circle. Son's dropped deep, coming to meet it, just giving a little shove off the ball there by Brady. Son picking it up, and then it's a drill back at him from Perisic, but he used his arm in controlling it, perhaps unwittingly, but he's certainly gained an advantage from that, and it's a free kick that Preston will take not too far outside their own penalty area. I think Ryan Lowe will be quite happy with the foundation that has been laid down, with the fact that Woodman's not had a difficult save to make up to this point. It's all about ticking boxes as we go through the game. They got through the first 10 minutes unscathed, stuck another 10 minutes on top of that, beginning to offer a little bit more going forward as well.
Yeah, that's the game plan, and I don't think they can get too cavalier, because we know the qualities that this Spurs side have got. So if you start thinking, oh, we've half cracked it here, and start, getting forward and not thinking about what if the ball's turned over and Spurs win possession, you've always got to have that defensive mindset about you when you're playing against quality sides like this, and they're doing that really well. They've just got to stay humble and keep to the game plan.
Well, possession at the moment 80-20 in Tottenham's favour, but just the one shot on target so far, which was Son's effort that Woodman dealt with.
Arguably they've had the best chance just from that Lindsay first contact header from the free kick, and it was a snapshot which was well blocked by the Spurs defenders, but that was the best opportunity that this game's brought up to now.
Well, we're midway through the first half. You would talk sport. It's Preston North End 0-0 with Spurs. Already through Manchester City yesterday, Leeds and Leicester in our live games at lunchtime on the Talksport network. Southampton beating Blackpool earlier this afternoon. Bristol City through against West Bromwich Albion with a very impressive performance at Ashton Gate. Those the only sides who know that they're in the round of 16 at the moment, the fifth round. Davinson Sanchez, Preston and Spurs both trying to join them. Longley playing it out to the Tottenham left again. Sessegnon's got Bissouma on the edge of the penalty area. Work back to Bentancur. Bentancur bringing it forward. Tanganga thought better of a long-range effort, slightly off balance. And better options to his left-hand side included Son to Bentancur. Bissouma smuggling through for Kulusevski, who's actually been pretty quiet so far. Out it goes to the left again for Tottenham. Another chance to try and deliver. Good movement off the ball from Longley. Created a bit of space behind him for Son. Bentancur into the feet of Kulusevski. He recycles it back for Doherty. The Swede then makes a run down the right-hand side of the penalty area. The ball went the other way to Tanganga. Davinson Sanchez into the feet of Son, dropping deep again. Son from distance, and Woodman did well. Might have taken a little nick, actually. Not too far from the shot from Son. And Woodman produces a flying save, diving to his left to put it behind for another corner.
Yeah, great build-up. Really technical work by Spurs. Bentancur involved a lot, as you would imagine. Just being that pivot, playing the ball off him, moving it around, getting little patterns of play. And it was a decent shot in the end. Well saved by the goalkeeper.
Another corner work short. Kulusevski tried to bulldoze his way through the box, but he was well dealt with, and when it was cleared by Brady, smacked it straight into Sanchez, and it goes behind and out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Woodman.
As attractive as that football was from Spurs, there was no one breaking lines apart from in possession trying to take a player on. I didn't see that little 1-2, someone trying to get a third man run in behind, because that's what can disturb a really rigid back five and a four in front of that. And I think if Spurs want to get clear-cut chances, they're going to have to start breaking lines off the ball with movement.
Spurs fans in their numbers and in fine voice as well. Goalless to score at the moment. Spurs have got past this stage of the competition in 6 of the last 7 seasons. Their last fourth round defeat coming at Palace 4 years ago. But they haven't made it to any of the last 31 FA Cup finals. So people of my immediate generation, that's almost unthinkable. It used to feel as though they got there every other year.
Absolutely, the old Wembley Stadium.
Won it in 81 and 82, and finalists in 87, and won it again in 91. Just a purple patch over the space of a decade, but as I mentioned, 31 years. 31 finals that they haven't got to since that last one some 32 years ago. 15 years without a major trophy. They beat Chelsea to win the League Cup in 2008. 10 teams have won a major trophy in the interim. Ball is with Woodman, but he's been told to break. A load of white balloons have just been thrown onto the pitch over on the far touchline. Most of those have been burst. No sign of whose FA Cup dream is going to be burst here at Deepdale tonight, because 25 minutes in, it's still 0-0 and largely chanceless.
Yeah, I think, listen, Ryan Lowe will be pleased that it's 0-0 and they've not really conceded any big chances. I think his biggest concern is going to be when they win the ball back, trying to keep possession, because they've given it away too easy, and by doing that, you're accepting that Spurs are just going to continue to attack, and at some stage they're going to show a little bit of quality. Son, Kulusevski, one of the forward players, going to show a bit of quality, and all of a sudden you're 1-0 down. They've got to try and be braver on the ball and try and keep hold of possession a little bit longer.
Ball cleared up the Tottenham left-hand side by Sessegnon. Well won back. Ledson from distance and some way off target. Forster knew that he had that cover from a long way out and just waved it over the top right-hand corner of his goal, but worth a hit from Ryan Ledson, who scored his first goal of the season at Birmingham last week. He's got a cup giant killing on his CV, part of the Oxford side that beat Newcastle at this stage of the competition a few years back. Here's Longley now for Spurs, and Son has made a run in behind the back five. He's got to scamper to try and keep it in before a long pacey ball goes over the dead ball line, and he lost that battle. It's out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Woodman away to our right hand side. 28 gone on Talksport. Preston North End 0, Tottenham 0.
Yeah, good idea. I could see that Preston, the back five, had quite a high line there. It was quite a direct ball. Probably a different club was needed. It was probably an 8-iron, and it needed to be a pitching wedge a little bit higher, so it stayed in play, and unfortunately Heung-min Son wasn't able to make the ball and keep it in play. But that's the right idea, you know. If they're squeezing high in that mid-block there, see if you can make them runs, angle your runs, stay on side, and see if they can hit them spaces in the channels.
More of those balloons have just found their way onto the pitch. Obviously a capacity crowd here at Deepdale, and traditional cup fever. Part of that, white Preston balloons. It has been quite a windy day, and a few of them being dispensed with, just inevitably finding their way down onto the verdant green turf, which is littered in parts, particularly over on the far side, with the carcasses now of dead balloons. A few more inside the Woodman penalty area. He comes to the edge of the box to clear, right-footed. And it's well brought down on the far touchline by Evans, but second ball won by Basuma. And Spurs are very quickly on the front foot again, with the Matt Doherty bringing it forward towards the halfway line before checking and going back inside for Sanchez. Sanchez over the halfway line towards Clement Longley, and back for Davison Sanchez again. Right-footed ball pinged forward. Doherty's made a good run towards the edge of the box, but couldn't guide it down for Kulusevski. Now the ball is cleared easily down the left by Robbie Brady, and it'll be chased after here by Cannon, and Cannon causing problems for Davison Sanchez, who in the end got lucky because he tried to clear and it flicked back off his heel. That deceived Cannon. Sanchez wasn't sure where the ball had gone either, but he was able to react quickly enough to realise that he could flick it back to his goalkeeper Fraser Forster, who could clear.
Dark arts there from Tom Cannon. He leant into Sanchez just as he was about to play the ball back, and it just upset that stride, made a mistake, and then all of a sudden you've got him under pressure 5 or 6 yards away from his own goalkeeper playing a back pass. Not the situation he wants to be in, but great running, I have to say, from Tom Cannon, and he needs to keep on doing that. The ball was overhit to him, but keep the defenders honest, make sure they know they're in a game and they're going to be under pressure.
He's a player with a really good reputation, the youngster on loan from Everton. He's made a couple of the Premier League appearances this season, one either side of the World Cup.
I've seen a few of his goals for the 23s. He scores a lot of goals at that level, and I've been impressed with him as well.
5 goals in the EFL trophy in his career as well, Tom Cannon, at a very good rate.
I think it speaks about his character, the fact that he wants to come on loan and play football at a low level, to play men's football.
He's got it now, and he'll drive forward, and he's nudged it one side of Basuma, but with a little bit too much juice, so Longley was able to pick it up, and Tottenham winning it back will bring it forward up the left-hand side with Son into the feet of Perisic, just trying to deftly turn it around the corner for Sessegnon. He's offside. I think Lindsay probably would have been able to shepherd it back to his goalkeeper anyway. There's a free kick that Preston will take on the edge of their box. Preston through the opening half hour unscathed. It's North End 0, Tottenham 0 on Talksport, with Manchester United against Reading to come immediately after this game. Yeah,
good high line there. Good communication between the back three and the two wing backs. The first one, I think it would have got through, but they intercepted that. And then the next one, which was directly straight after, he'd gone into an offside position. Great line by that back five, and it was an easy win back for the Preston defence.
Forster picks up a long ball from his opposite number, Woodman. Bowls it out immediately for Doherty. And then Tanganga bypassing Davinson Sanchez across the defensive line to play in Longley. Sessegnon picks it up on the halfway line, but pirouettes back inside his own half. Longley, the Frenchman, driving it forward. Tanganga had to stretch to get there ahead of McCann, who headed it into a congested midfield area where Preston won it. And then it comes down towards Tanganga, right in front of us on this touchline. Must have been very close to being out of play for a throw. The North End fans who had a good view of it thought that it was. Spurs allowed to continue, recycled it out to their left. But the ball was played forward too briskly for Son, and it goes straight through for Woodman. And there's at times just a lack of real finesse and quality in the final third.
Yeah, they're just lacking that quality, aren't they? The pass selection's not right, or the club selection, as in the type of ball that they play into them areas. Again, Son trying to break that high line. Great run, but the ball into him was not lofty enough. He was never going to catch it, and it's the wrong selection of pass. If it's not on and if it's not obvious, obviously it's not the right pass. Recycle the ball and keep it, and at the moment Tottenham are not doing that. But I think they see Sanchez as a little bit of a liability in possession. You can see them trying to put pressure when he gets the ball to feet, and why not? You know, if you don't think he can handle the ball, put him under pressure, make him question his ability, and he might make a mistake, which gives them an opportunity.
0-0 the score. Now Preston North End in possession. Story laying it back for his goalkeeper. Woodman slicing it forward over halfway. Woodman in his first season here at Preston, having a side from Newcastle last summer. Cannon chasing, and it's cleared on the half volley by Tanganga. It was a crucial touch from him. Bentancur then brings it down and plays it back to the edge of his own penalty area for Sanchez, and Spurs will be able to turn and get it forward now. Basuma playing the way that he's facing and finding Son. Son, easy possession for him. Kulusevski into the feet of Perisic. The return ball was misdirected. Perisic then forced to drop deep. The ball smacks into the referee. Preston played the pass and got the ball straight back again, so it's allowed to continue, but then it's overhit for the run of Cannon down the Preston left, and it goes out of play for a Tottenham throw. 0-0.
It's better though, you know, from McCann and Whiteman in the middle of the park there, getting them little passes, keeping possession instead of just launching it forward. And then it was just the execution on that pass through to Tom Cannon that wasn't quite right, but at least they got a couple of passes in there first before making that longer pass into the striker.
Basuma to Bentancur. Tanganga, Kulusevski, Basuma again. McCann trying to flick it away, couldn't quite manage it. Kulusevski's got Doherty outside him. Doherty just stayed in behind him. He then ends up on the deck, and the referee says he was fouled. Challenged by Andy Hughes, and a free kick to Spurs, level with the edge of the Preston penalty area and midway between the edge of the box and the right-hand touchline.
Yeah, I think it was a coming together between Doherty and the defender there. It went through his legs, and I think that's why Doherty ended up getting the foul, but the linesman was right next to it. Didn't see anything wrong with it, but the referee blew up, and it's a free kick in a probably parallel with the edge of the 18-yard box, but in the wide area. Quite a dangerous position.
Spurs put 5 inside the penalty area. Preston will keep a highish line, bearing in mind where it's coming in from. They're only just behind the penalty spot. They will drop deep, and they've got to be wary of Spurs runners here into that little corridor of space in front of Woodman. So an opportunity here for Spurs from a set piece to break the deadlock. It's going to be a right-footed away swinger from Son Heung-min. 7 in turquoise now inside that penalty area for him to try and hit, and he hit Brady.
Yeah,
the one man in the wall, and it's straight out of play for a corner.
Yeah, kudos to him. He got himself in the right line where he thought the ball was going to be put into the trajectory, and made sure he got that block, and it's an easier situation to deal with from a corner. He's still got that near post man looking to get first contact, and then everyone else marks up.
Tottenham's 5th corner. 3 of the previous 4 have gone short. This one won't. The Son runs away, vacates the scene down by that corner. It's fired in towards the near post. They'll do it all again as Brady at the near post was able to make the contact and knock it away. Son again chose for the short one. They're going to go short this time. Keep everyone guessing. They have gone short into Son to Perisic. Now Kulusevski, edge of the area. Good strike. Woodman grasping at fresh air. Grateful to see it clear his bar.
Yeah, good move. Little one from Son, and then Kulusevski's just on the edge of the box there on the angle. Got it out of his feet with his left foot. shot, just couldn't keep it under the bar. The goalkeeper looked troubled, Freddie Woodman, but just rising all the way harmlessly over the bar.
Well, the live sport continues after this game. Manchester United against Reading kicks off at 8. Tonight from 10, we've got live and exclusive radio commentary of Artur Beterbiev against Anthony Yarde for the unified light heavyweight crown. That's here on Talksport. And tomorrow morning, England's cricketers take on South Africa in the second men's one-day international. It's live and exclusive from 7:30 on Talksport 2. Also tomorrow, the AFC Championship game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. Live on Talksport 2 from 11 tomorrow night. Spurs on the front foot here at Deepdale, where it's 0-0. And you can see by the mist the way that it's wisping around the floodlights, particularly over on the far side. It's blowing in from right to left. A little bit of rain in the air as well on what is an increasingly filthy Lancastrian evening. Spurs on the front foot once more. Too much on that. It's just rolled over the line and gone out of play off Perisic for a goal kick, which will be taken by Woodman. And we've got not much more than 5 minutes to go to half-time. It's still Preston North End 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Again, Alan Brown really disciplined, sticking to his task and making sure that if there is a bit of danger, it's done at match tempo. And on that occasion, the forward for Spurs ran it out of play because he was asked to do it at such an intensity. He couldn't sort his feet out, and great defending from Alan Brown.
You talked about Spurs' inability to be able to break in between the lines and to break the back five down. So what do they need to do more of? How do they go about actually being able to facilitate that and create the chances that aren't forthcoming at the moment?
Well, that should have been done in training. So different patterns of play, third man runs, keeping it swift when you're on the ball, not taking 3, 4, 5 touches, because that's easy to defend against. But if you move the ball 2 touch and then you have some triggers where you know you're going to get a forward movement in behind the back five, that's where you'll break this team down, or the switch of play when they become narrow. But at the moment, I think you have to give kudos to Preston. You know, they've been disciplined, they've not been cavalier, they've stuck to the task, they've not made any silly individual errors, and they're starting to go into the game slowly but surely.
Here's Liam Lindsay, the Scottish centre-half, playing it forward, straight to Doherty. And then Basuma guarding him back for Davinson Sanchez. A brisk ball back for the Colombian, but it was easy for him to field and bring under control and then play out to the Tottenham left-hand side. Chances still very much at a premium. 0-0 the score. Tanganga in possession. We've got 5.5 minutes to go to the break. And just the 2 shots on target so far, both going Spurs' way. Longley out of the Tottenham left. And Son with that sort of gliding style, just trying to come in off the left-hand touchline, failed to quite get it right. Back it goes from Tanganga. Now Sanchez emerging from the centre circle and playing the ball forward towards those white balloon skins again over on that inside left channel, the way that Spurs are playing from left to right in this first half here at Deepdale. Doherty's got it now in space on the Tottenham right, swinging a high ball in, and Woodman's done well. He's come a long way to come out and claim that, and caught it about 12 yards off his line, bowls it out quickly for Whiteman, and Preston will try and get going quickly. Evans holding it up under duress, did well to get away from the challenge. Now to be played by Brady. He's gone back for Hughes. Layoff in the midfield comes from Ledson. Brady again. Brady, first time, bounces in front of Longley, who can just nod it on towards Basuma. And Tottenham have it back. Bentancur. Alan Brown just out of position for a moment. The Preston right back on a rare foray forward, and Perisic was able to occupy the space that he'd left in behind. Preston have got their shape back behind the ball, the 5 and then the 3. And very little gap in between those 2 lines. Bentancur's got it for Tottenham in front of that midfield line of 3. To his left for Longley, out towards Sessegnon. Sessegnon trying to get round the back of Brown, chips it in, but only onto the roof of the net. And out of play for a goal kick to Preston. 3 to go to half-time. Preston 0, Spurs 0.
Yeah, Sessegnon will be really disappointed he didn't wrap his foot round that. Did really well, attack the full-back. Got wrong side of him for once, which is one of the first times he's done that in this first half. But then his cross, he's got to really focus on making sure he either keeps that in play, or even better, get it into that second 6-yard box area and give his forwards something to go and attack. And he slices it over the crossbar. and the move comes to an end. And young wingers do that at times, and you've got to just practice to make sure when you're fatigued and you get into them areas, you keep the ball in play, and he didn't manage to do that then.
Well, this has been a competition that's not been good for Preston in the recent past. They'd actually only won one FA Cup tie in 7 years before they beat Huddersfield in round 3. They haven't won a 4th round tie since 2015 when they beat Sheffield United in a replay at Bramall Lane. Their last 4th round win here, also, funnily enough, against the Blades. And that was more than 20 years ago when David Moyes was the manager back in 2002. They're hoping for a notable scalp tonight. Have knocked Spurs out of the FA Cup since their relegation from the top flight back in the 60s. Howard Kendall played in the team that beat Spurs 2-1 here back in 1966, not that long before England had won the World Cup. Kulusevski playing it forward, gets a return ball from Son. Kulusevski, right-footed shot, really well defended. I think it was Lindsay stood firm, and he followed him every step of the way. Kulusevski wrapping his right foot around it, and Lindsay doing well to effect the block. Preston getting upfield quickly. Cannon to Evans, good turn from him. And then another, and then a good ball as well as he chipped it out towards the right-hand side for Brown. Actually just saw him a little short, held up on the playing surface when Brown looked the overwhelming favourite, but Son chased after it and whacked it upfield for Spurs. It's returned with interest by Woodman, and Tottenham can calm things down in the midfield again. But tidy from Preston on the front foot.
Little incident there by Kulusevski, bringing that little bit of dynamism into his play. Played it inside, went for the 1-2, almost got his shot off. That's what it's going to take. You can't just play in front of teams like this. They're too disciplined, they're too physical, and they'll stick to task too well. You have to make that play a 1-2, third man runs, running off the ball, and you're just not getting enough of that from the Spurs side in this first half.
They had a string of 0-0 draws at the start of the season. Ryan Lowe's men playing this way. Very adept at it. And Sessegnon sees that Brown's got his angles right again as he fired it across from that Tottenham left, and it hit the nearest Preston defender Brown and goes straight out of play. Throw taken by Spurs over on that far touchline. Sessegnon trying to find a way through. Bentancur has caught his man. He helps Ledson back to his feet, but it is a free kick that Preston will take.
He doesn't mind leaving his foot in, Bentancur, for a technical player who loves to get on the ball and keep it moving. Out of possession, he has got that aggressive nature to him where he'll leave a foot in and make sure he takes a player out. Second occasion he's done that. He's got away with it again. The referee, Barnes, has let him off with it. We'll see if that continues or if Ryan Lowe goes in to see the referee at half-time and said how many times is he going to be allowed to get away with fouls like that.
Well, his next yellow card will be his 10th of the season in all competitions.
So that's not a surprise.
He is a player that likes to put his foot in, but what a signing he has been for Spurs. Yeah. Here's McCann. McCann will go back inside the centre circle where Hughes will lay down for Brady. Brady to McCann. McCann sensed Basuma was hot on his heels and just waited the last possible moment for turning. He can invite Whiteman forward. Whiteman playing it out towards Brown, but not quite with enough care, and it's put out of play. We've got a minute of added time, not for stoppages, not for time wasting, but for balloon bursting. But we've got an extra minute to play at the end of this first half. In fairness, the longest stoppage was for that slight knock that McCann picked up where he needed to change his shirt. Basuma clears, so in first half stoppage time. It's headed away over on the far touchline by Sessegnon and out for a throw that will be taken by Preston. Ball boy just near the edge of the technical area kicks it for, I say a ball boy. It was someone from the Preston managerial team over on that far side. They're just kicking it forward. Brown's going to take this throw. Down towards the corner flag. Cannon chases after it. Clipped forward again by Ledson. Headed on and will be knocked away. High booming clearance from Sanchez. And that's the last touch of the first half. And applause all around from the Preston North End supporters. You can understand why. Because defensively they've been really sound. Good game plan, well executed. They haven't seen much of the ball, but Freddie Woodman hasn't seen too much action. And that has been the real plus point as far as Ryan Lowe and co are concerned. Half-time at Deepdale. It's Preston North End 0, Tottenham 0. Faye?
Yeah, Preston disciplined so far, Trevor. Spurs really struggling to break them down. Son and Kulusevski probably with the best chances. What's Antonio Conte's message going to be in the dressing room? He looks pretty serious walking back into the tunnel.
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed, especially with the way that they've not been able to break this Preston back five down. I think it's been a little bit too slow, a bit too static. There's not been them unselfish runs where you'll go to make a run in behind, not to so much get it yourself, but you'll take a defender with you to open up a space for one of your teammates to go and drive into. Everyone wants the ball to feet. It's just too easy to handle at the moment for this Preston back five and the two in front of them, we were Whiteman and Ledson. I think if they want to try and break them down, they've got to get to the byline, they've got to create 2 against 1, they've got to do them lung busting runs in behind defences, and to try and overcommit the defence, then find a spare man, and they're just not doing it at the moment. It's all very comfortable for Ryan Lowe's side.
Yeah, and actually I'm sure Ryan Lowe's going to be pretty pleased so far. Jim said defending well, Woodman with some strong saves as well, but they actually need more opportunities on goal themselves.
They do, and I think that's getting the balance. I think obviously players are going to get tired. The intensity is probably a little bit more on what they're used to in the Championship, especially with Tottenham having so much possession of the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised on the hour, maybe 17 minutes, to see changes if the game does stay the same. But going the other way, they've got to be a bit braver in possession. I was watching them, I said it when we were talking earlier, Faye, I was watching them do the possession football. They have got that in the locker. But obviously the intensity of the press from the Tottenham players is forcing them to do it at maybe a higher level, and they're not finding that comfortable and they're not finding the groove at the moment. But if they do get that opportunity to start playing the football, they can play, and then it's moving the ball into the final third of the pitch and creating opportunities for themselves. The best opportunity they've had was from the free kick. Ledson got the first contact to the ball, and it was a snapshot from about 7-8 yards out. That was probably one of the best opportunities. It was well blocked by Tottenham, but they need to get set pieces, win fouls. Ched Evans has done pretty well at holding the ball up, showing real pieces of quality with his hold-up play. Tom Cannon as well, putting the Tottenham defenders under pressure. When they can win fouls in and around that final third, they've got to win the fouls with the hold-up play and then get the bodies, because really that's the best opportunity you can see Preston scoring.
Absolutely. So goalless at half-time here on Talksport. Preston 0, Tottenham 0. Who's going to break the deadlock? Second half up next. Straight after this match, we head to Old Trafford for our final FA Cup fourth round commentary of the day as Manchester United face Reading. That's at 8 p.m. Then later tonight, Talksport brings you live and exclusive radio commentary of Artur Beterbiev versus Anthony Yard for the unified light heavyweight crown. Our expert team made up of presenters Adam Cattrall and Gareth A. Davis, commentator Andy Clark, and former super bantamweight champion Spencer Oliver. What a dream team that is. The undercard action beginning over on Talksport 2 before switching to Talksport for the main event. That's Artur Beterbiev versus Anthony Yard tonight, live and free to listen to from 10 p.m. right here on Talksport.
FA Cup live on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
5 at the back, 5 shots on target, 5 seconds of genius. And now, 5 bets in a bundle. Whatever the action this week, with new football bet bundles from Coral, you can get a bundle of 5 bets for double the value or more. Choose a £2 classic or £5 premium. New football bet bundles, only from Coral. 18 plus, UK ROI only, ends 1st of October 23. Real money purchase of £2 or £5, get a football bet bundle. 5 times £1 or 5 times £2. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. Take time to think.
This winter, we're here for you. So how does broadband at half the price for half the year sound? That's right, Superfast Fibre for just $14.49 a month. There's nothing to pay up front, and it comes with a £20 money-back speed guarantee. That's half-price broadband right through till summer. Get your skates on. The BT winter sale ends 1st of February. Currently $28.99 from month 7. 24-month contract. CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. New customers only. Terms apply.
Got an untaxed car? You could hide it in a hedge or sneak it in a skip. Maybe cloak it with some cones or outfox us with a fence. You might try to cover it, smother it, bury it in sticks, park it down the lane, tuck it down the drain, stash it in a bus stop, paint it like a mountaintop. But whatever you try, you will always find that cars are hard to hide, but easy to tax. So don't risk it. Tax it with DVLA at gov.uk/DVLA/taxit.
Imagine having 100 chances to score a penalty. Or 100 chances to win $1 million. Well, lucky you, because this Friday's Euromillions European Millionaire Maker will have 100 millionaires guaranteed. Yep, that's 100 millionaires back of the net. Euromillions from the National Lottery. Play on app. There are 100 €1 million prizes. Camelot will top up prizes won in the UK to £1 million from the UK Millionaire Maker Reserve Fund. Account terms, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
FA Cup Live on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Game day. Get all the goals on your radio.
FA Cup Game Day Live
on Talksport.
This is FA Cup Game Day Live on Talksport. Faker Others with you. It's Preston North End 0, Tottenham 0 at half-time. But before we move on, we have a rather disturbing line to bring you from today's match, I'm afraid. Birmingham manager John Eustace spoke to our reporter Matt Jones and told him that goalkeeper Neil Etheridge was racially abused by a fan during their 2-2 draw with Blackburn in the FA Cup earlier on today. The alleged offence took place in the aftermath of Birmingham's injury time equaliser. Afterwards, Eustace provided an update on his goalkeeper.
Neil was shook up, he was shook up a little bit after the game, and quite rightly so. As I say, there's no room for any kind of racism, but the lads got right round him and made sure he was okay, and we'll speak to him when we get on the bus and see how he is. I think the referee will report it first and foremost, and then it'll be up to Blackburn as a club to deal with the situation.
I'm sure that's not the last that we'll hear from that. It has been a busy day in the FA Cup. Leicester, Leeds, Southampton, Bristol City, all through to Monday's 5th round draw. The other 5 matches today ended in draws with replays on Tuesday night. At Deepdale, honours even at the break. Let's take a listen to the half-time highlights with Carling.
FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup.
And it's 15 years since Spurs last won a major trophy. It's the FA Cup that brings them their best chance of ending that drought this time around. And with 10 Premier League sides having already been eliminated from this season's competition, there'll be a number of clubs who are eyeing their chances, thinking that this year it's all opening up very nicely. Into the feet of Son, dropping deep again. Son from distance, and Woodman did well. Might have taken a little nick, actually. Now Kulusevski, edge of the area. Good strike, Woodman. Grasping at fresh air. Grateful to see it clear his bar. A load of white balloons have just been thrown onto the pitch over on the far touchline. Most of those have been burst. No sign of whose FA Cup dream is going to be burst here at Deepdale tonight.
Still one more FA Cup 4th round game to come. Live commentary of Manchester United versus Reading coming up at the conclusion of this game. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff at Old Trafford. Paul Ince returning to his former side as an opposition manager. And Ince spoke to TalkSport's Ian Danter ahead of his return. And he was asked how he's found his time at the Select Car Leasing Stadium so far.
How much do your experiences as a Manchester United player or manager, or being in and around Old Trafford for as long as you were, how much does that inform the way that you prepare the players for Saturday night?
I think it's important. Listen, sometimes in things you can talk about things and, players try to take it on board, but unless you actually experience it, it's hard to actually explain the feeling that you have, walking out Old Trafford, walking out in front of all those fans. And it's, I'm sure all my players now will be thinking, when they go to bed, what's it like? What's it going to be like? Am I playing? And, all that type of stuff. So, listen, for me, it's a great draw for us. It's a great game for us. Do you prepare? Can you prepare yourself to go to Old Trafford in front of 70,000 people? I don't know. I think you just go there, suck it all in, enjoy the experience and go out and try and win the game.
And Reading have been there a couple of times in recent years, not with you there, of course, no. But they've come away without a goal to their name. I don't know but you've been there. You've been in a cup tie as a manager with Blackburn. You had a bit of a goal thriller against United, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. To be fair, it was a really good game. We ended up getting beat 5-3. As I said before, prior to Tevez got 4, but it was exciting stuff. Obviously, we don't want to be that exciting on Saturday, but listen, if we can get there, get a goal, who knows? Who knows? Because obviously the expectations on Manchester United to win the game, and sometimes that can benefit us as a club.
just finally on Erik ten Hag, we've spoken about him before and what he's done for Manchester United. How much are you personally looking forward to pitting your wits against somebody like Erik?
Yeah, listen, it's always a challenge, as I said, against any of the top managers. So it's not just about pitting your wits about him. It's just obviously after, having a chat with him in his office and, talking about the game and how he sees it. No, they're important things because as a manager, you want to learn from other managers and, gain experience from people like that. So I'm more looking forward to the conversation after, about he sets his teams up and any ideas that we can take that could benefit us as a football club. And I think as a manager, you're always looking to learn and always looking to improve. So, I'm looking forward to that a bit more.
Reading boss Paul Ince speaking to Talksport's Ian Danter earlier on this week. Fascinating insight into a newer manager's wanting to get educated by a more experienced manager. I absolutely love that. Our commentary team tonight at Old Trafford, Adam Bridge and Mickey Gray, who can join us now to look ahead to this match. I'm quite excited by this in many ways, and I'm looking forward to seeing who Erik ten Hag is going to play. Is he going to take this seriously, Mickey?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be an interesting starting 11, isn't it, Faye? But I think the way that Erik ten Hag has approached the season is to try and win every competition that they've been entered in at the beginning of the season, and I think that filtered through to everybody in the Manchester United camp. It's been an exciting camp, there's no doubt about it this season, and you see the confidence that they're playing with right now, not just for a couple of weeks. It seems to be every single game. They've got this momentum at the moment. Obviously certain individual players are absolutely flying right now. I mean, Marcus Rashford's record at the minute is just phenomenal when you think about what he's achieved over the last couple of seasons where he's been probably struggling. And was there going to be a future for Marcus? Well, you can't think of a future with Marcus Rashford without Manchester United right now, because it's been very special.
Yeah, it certainly has, but equally they have a Carabao Cup semi-final second leg to look forward to. It's live on Talksport on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock against Nottingham Forest. That's surely going to factor into his decision-making.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm sat alongside Adam right now and, we're having the same conversation because they've got 9 games, I think it is, in 30 games. The last thing they want is replays in the FA Cup. They want to try and get the job done as quick as they possibly can. And we know that they're starting to get Old Trafford a little bit like a fortress again right now, which is the way it should be. It's been missing for certain seasons for one reason or another, but this manager's come in and he does not mess around. If you're not on the same page as him, Erik ten Hag I'm talking about, then you're out the door, or you do not play for Manchester United. You have to look at certain individual players who've probably not been given their chance, and there has to be a reason behind that, Pay, because if you're not training well, if you're not playing well in games, whether you're worth £75 million or you're worth £7, it doesn't matter. He wants the best 11, and that's why they've been successful this season.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And actually Reading don't have a particularly good away record this season, as opposed to, as you say, Manchester United flying high. I think it's 10 wins on the bounce, isn't it, at Old Trafford at the moment, which is some kind of record and pretty impressive. I want to bring in commentator Adam Bridge, because we've got, just looking at the clock, 2 seconds until we are allowed to release the team news.
You put me under pressure there, Faye. I wanted to tell you.
I almost did a full 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, but I thought, no, let's not. Adam, give us the team news, please.
There is no Jadon Sancho, of course. That was a talking point from yesterday, whether he'd be in the 20. He's not been included tonight. And there is just one change for Manchester United from that victory over Forest in midweek. That is the return of Harry Maguire, who's back from suspension in place of Martinez. Rashford then is looking to break that 64-year-old record tonight by scoring in 10 home games in a row for Manchester United. He gets his chance. He was subbed early in midweek. Obviously, they're 3-0 up. Tonight is a massive fixture for Erik ten Hag. The FA Cup's a huge competition, so just one change for Manchester United. That means Fernandes is there, Antony's there, Weghorst is there, Casemiro, more importantly, is there as well. As for Reading, 2 changes tonight from that 4-0 defeat at Stoke. Since they won their third-round tie, they haven't managed a victory, and they've conceded 6 goals in their 2 fixtures. Meite and Forner are out. Andy Carroll comes in. He made a first FA Cup debut back in 2007. Lucas Shaw as well, in what looks like a 3-4-3 formation for Paul Ince's side.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. Back with you in about 45 minutes' time after the conclusion of Preston's match against Tottenham. The players are back out on the pitch. Don't forget, by the way, tomorrow, world-class live cricket for you. It's the second ODI between South Africa and England over on Talksport 2. The action beginning at 7:30 in the morning. The FA Cup fifth round draw will also be live on Talksport on Monday night from 7 p.m. ahead of our live coverage of the final fourth round tie, Derby County versus West Ham United. Now, though, let's head back to Deepdale with our commentators Trevor Sinclair and Jim Proudfoot.
Faye, thank you. And no sign of any changes ahead of this second half. Tottenham lining up, Forster in goal, Tanganga, Sanchez and Longley, Doherty, Basuma, Bentancur and Sessegnon. And the front three, Kulusevski, Son and Perisic, has been very fluent and fluid. And it is Spurs in all turquoise who get us underway. Kicking from right to left in this second half. Their host Preston, Woodman in goal, Story, Lindsay and Hughes, Brown, Ledson, Whiteman, McCann, Brady, Evans and Cannon up front. No changes made at any point up until now, and no change to the scoreline either from the first whistle of the first half. Here's Son in possession as we wait for the deadlock to be broken. Back it goes to Longley. And Longley to Davison Sanchez. A first half in which possession was 3/4 Tottenham, 1/4 Preston. But no way through, and not too many signs of a potential way through for either team either. Interesting to see whether the Spurs can find a little bit more joy in this second half. Preston's game plan, Trevor, is going to be identical to how it was in the first period.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The only thing that will come into play is the fatigue. You know, the players are running a lot without the ball, and that does tire you out more. So if you start seeing one or two tired bodies in white, I'm sure that Ryan Lowe will be looking to change that possibly and bring fresh legs on. From Spurs' point of view, they've got to be patient, they've got to move the ball a little bit quicker, stick to the principles and realise that when Preston players do start getting tired, gaps will start to open up and they might be able to start forging opportunities. But also, like I said, movement in behind, everything's to the feet, it's in front of the Preston back four or back five, and it's just not being effective in that first half.
Basuma just got caught, they flicked it out to the right-hand side anyway for Kulusevski. It's half cleared. Kulusevski gets it back again from Bentancur's pass. Spurs trying to camp inside the Preston penalty area. Good turn by Kulusevski, rolling his man, but Perisic's touch was heavy. And that denied him the opportunity to get a shot in from what still would have been a tight angle. And Preston get it away, very grateful to be able to do that on the left-hand side of the back line.
Yeah, a little bit sharper with the passing there. The intensity was good, the movement. I still felt quite comfortable for Preston, though. They still seemed to have everything under control. You know, bodies in the way. If it was going to go in, it would be a deflected shot. And they're still staying nice and calm, and that's what they've got to do. Just got to try and get hold of the ball now and try and keep it for a little while, give the defenders a break.
Son's done very well, just drawn Brown into a challenge and flicked it past him, got back to his feet after just being caught. Finds Sessegnon with a better ball in than a couple that we saw in the first half. It's cleared nevertheless. Basuma with a little chest trap trying to bring it down into the path of Son. And North End win it back and win a throw after intelligent and wily play from Chet Evans.
Been impressed with him, Jim. You know, he's not been in the game a lot, and sometimes forwards can get frustrated and start looking disinterested, but every time the ball's come up to him, he's either created something, got a little nutmegs, kept the ball, won a foul, won a throw-in. Been really impressed with his hold-up play.
And he contributes to the Preston tally of 116 international caps in this starting lineup. Son trying to drive it forward. Knocked away, though, by Preston's Liam Lindsay. Cannon can't quite get there. Tommy Cannon and ball just not quite in perfect synchronicity there.
No, I'd like to see the two forwards a little bit closer together when Preston do win possession, so they can start getting that little bit of interchange between the two of them. Nice little partnership play, and see if they can upset this back three for Spurs.
Kulusevski into the feet of Bentancur. Kulusevski again. Spurs making progress, measured progress towards the edge of the Preston penalty area. It's still 0-0, bit of space though for Longley. Longley setting his sights from 25 yards and firing it way over the bar into the Tottenham fans in the Copperway to our left-hand side. So it remains 0-0 with 4 gone in the second half on Talksport.
Yeah, good little change of pace there from Kulusevski, coming in from the right-hand side on his left foot. Nice pass across, and yeah, the finish again. inside the post, can you hit the target? Can you work the goalkeeper in the Preston goal, Freddie Woodman? And again, on so many occasions in the first half, high and wide.
Clearance comes from Woodman. And it's headed forward through the Spurs midfield towards Son. Appeals for handball came from the Preston midfielders against Son. North End able to work it forward for Cannon. On the right wing, he's done well. He worked it back towards Woodman, towards Whiteman, I beg your pardon. Whiteman swung a right foot at it, made no contact at all. It just went behind him. Spurs can bring it away quickly. Doherty knocking it out towards the right-hand side for Becky Kulusevski. Kulusevski will turn away from Brady. And Spurs again able to get into this kind of position, which has been something we've seen a lot, but we haven't seen much of that. It's Son from 25 yards, minimal backlift, and he swung it in with the instep of his left boot into the bottom left-hand corner past Woodman. It was unstoppable. Magnificent finish from Son Heung-min. It's Preston 0, Tottenham 1. It was a game you felt needed a little bit of class to open it up. And boy, did we just see some there.
Yeah, unbelievable finish on his left-hand side. Took the ball with his left foot, got it out of his feet, and that pressure, that intensity from the Preston defenders just wasn't what it was like in the first half. Give quality players like that 2 or 3 yards from that kind of distance, and they're going to punish you. And it's an absolutely superb finish. The keeper, Woodman, had no chance. And we've seen it in the Premier League. He's got that quality, and he just showcased it for everyone at Deepdale tonight.
First FA Cup goal in 3 years, his 7th goal of the season in all competitions. Such a sweet strike. And Tottenham lead at Preston by a goal to 0. Longley playing it forward for Spurs. Brady doing well, flicking it up with his left boot, deceiving Kulusevski. Now working it into space outside of for McCann, who's got one of his own shirts on again, having had the blood shirt on for much of the first half. Ball goes out of play for a throw that Robbie Brady will take on the Preston North End left. He's played it back for Ledson, and Ledson will drive it in right-footed. Coming forward to attack it is Alan Brown. It's headed away from him. Brought down by Son. Flicked on by Sessegnon. Preston should be able to win it back. Brown protecting the space and allowing Ledson the opportunity to come and make the challenge. Now played inside the penalty area again. It's cleared. Whiteman's delivery took a deflection and Spurs can get it away. And it's worked forward towards Perisic. And Spurs can just calm things down. What will we see change in terms of the Preston game plan? Clearly they're going to have to come out and be a lot more proactive now that they've gone 1-0 down. But do they do it now or do they wait?
They wait, Jim. I think that the game can be out of sight. You know, I keep on referring back to that Accrington Leeds game. You know, once they conceded that first goal, the goal started to come, and then all of a sudden you're kind of defending your pride and thinking this could end up being 4 or 5 or 6. So they need to just stay in the game for the next 5 minutes, make sure they keep that bank of 5, the 2 or 3 in front of that, and be disciplined. And then as the game goes on, can you start to work yourself back into the game? Maybe it's going to take a change from Ryan Lowe, bring someone on with fresh legs, especially in them forward positions, try and get some impetus going forward, because the chances that they've created have been very minimal in that for the opening 50-55 minutes.
Now, Tottenham, a side who are so adept on the counter-attack that you don't think that Preston wouldn't make any sense for them to try and play any other way, really, for the time being. There will come a point where they've got to start twisting rather than sticking, but it probably isn't yet. Just 8 minutes into this second half. 1-0 to Tottenham. Here's Basuma into the feet of Kulusevski. Perisic taking it on. Didn't quite drop his way for a return ball from Doherty. And it's cleared. Sanchez heads it back forward. And Preston once more going to be able to bring it away. Hit Lindsay and then bounces Spurs way once more towards the edge of the penalty area. But Son just peeling away on the left-hand side of the box. The ball didn't get to him. Tottenham winning a lot of the seconds at the moment. Basuma's just giving it away though to Whiteman. Whiteman heavily linked with a move to the Premier League and to Fulham. It'll be interesting to see whether he's still a Preston player this time next week. Deadline day, of course, is Tuesday. And we've got all the moves as they unfold throughout the course of Tuesday, including during the second leg of our Carabao Cup semi-final that night. Danny Mills alongside me at St James's Park for Newcastle against Southampton on Tuesday, but we'll keep you abreast of all of the developments on deadline day. The window shuts an hour after that game finishes. Free kick here to Preston North End, 1-0 down. Staring down the barrel at the moment of an 8th home defeat of the season. But still, plenty of time. Robbie Brady sending this free kick forward from halfway. Headed back by Bissouma. And to safety, he'll then be able to bring the ball down on the left-hand side, and Sessegnon will try and get it further upfield. Hasn't really been able to do that successfully. Brown in there. Cannily does well, and then very clever flick from McCann. Chipped over the top from Ledson. Might break for Cannon on the right-hand side of the area. Didn't drop for him to get a shot in, but he has played it back for McCann. Ali McCann into a central area. Recycled out to the Preston right for Brown. His cross hits Sessegnon, and Bissouma will be able to help Spurs get it away. Better from Preston, but couldn't get the final ball right, and that's been something that's been in keeping both of these sides throughout the game.
Absolutely, really good opportunity. I thought they could have put it in from a slightly more central position. They decided second phase to put the ball wider, to get a better angle, to put the cross in, and it was good defending in the end by Sessegnon. Got his distances right, got his angles right, and managed to block or take a lot of the cross out of it, and Spurs won possession again. Halfway line now with a throw-in. Got to try and get the ball into that final third and get crosses into the box.
Manchester United against Reading coming up at 8 o'clock. It's Preston 0, Spurs 1 at the moment. Tottenham set fair right now to be the 5th Premier League team to guarantee their place in round 5. Doherty, Ada Kulusevski, corner of the penalty area, pulled back for Son. Great bit of evasive action taken from referee Peter Banks earlier in the move, incidentally. Back it comes for Sessegnon now on the left-hand side of the box, trying to commit. Brownie wins the corner the first of the second half.
Yeah, positive play from Sessegnon. 1-against-1 situation. Again, Brown equal to him. Manages to move his feet quickly enough and get the block in. It's a corner, but good defending once again. But going back to the ninja-style reflexes of the referee there, I was very impressed as well, Jim.
He did well, didn't he?
Brilliant.
I might have been able to get out of the way of that, but it's taken me about half an hour to get up again. It's going to be a corner on the Tottenham left. It is their 7th of the game without reply. And like so many of the previous ones, it's worked short between Perisic and Son. Comes back for Son, again, gets to the byline, left-footed, doesn't stand it up, he drives it into the near post. Preston clear, Brown can't get it past Bentancur, who's forced to play the way that he's facing. Back to Sessegnon on the edge of the centre circle. He works it to Son. Son to Bissouma. Back through the centre circle again. Bentancur now changes the line of the Tottenham attack out to the right flank and plays it down for Matt Doherty. Back in towards Bentancur. Bentancur to Longley, thinking about setting the sights, works it out to his left instead for Son, driving in, takes a touch, gets to the edge of the penalty area, and then the move breaks down as Kulusevski fires it in behind Bissouma, and straight out of play for a Preston throw. But since the goal, it's still been exactly the same imprint on the game. All Spurs possession, a lot of it around the edge of the final third. It's still 1-0 to Tottenham.
Yeah, I think the special player on the pitch, Son, he's been different class to the rest of them. You see his goal, the quality that he's shown, 20-25 yards out with his left foot, give the keeper no chance, and then every time he gets the ball in that kind of inside left position, 1-against-1 with a defender, you know that there's going to be end product. And I think if you look at players like Sessegnon, who wants to get in this Tottenham starting 11 for the Premier League side, you've got to look at the stats and the consistency in which Heung-min Son does that. He gets his cross in, it's always in a great area, and he's a fantastic professional. You can see that.
Yeah, talking of Sessegnon, there's a player that has got a couple of FA Cup goals in his career. They both came when he was just 16 at Fulham. He hasn't scored a goal in his Grey Cup competition since then. Spurs leading by a goal to 0. Son, maybe, judging by the reaction of players and fans alike, with a touch of the arm in there. Preston get it back anyway with Robbie Brady.
Above the sleeve line.
Brady knocking it back for Lindsay. Lindsay inside his own half, turning and finding Woodman. Now Woodman playing it out from the back for Jack Story. Now Whiteman firing it forward, chested down neatly by Evans in the midfield, and he's turned and got the better of Bentancur, who did really well. Whiteman making a good run forward for him. To his right-hand side is Brown, feigning to cross. He turned inside and deceived Longley, then cut back onto his right foot and allowed the Frenchman time to recover. Longley can head it back through the midfield. Son loses his instalment of the battle of head tennis in there, and Preston get it back again. Brown playing it in. Hits Sessegnon and goes out of play for Preston's first corner of the night.
Yeah, a great bit of sustained pressure there from Preston. Once again, I think the the wing-back had a great opportunity to put the ball into the box. He ended up trying to get a little bit closer and driving into the box. Second phase, I thought they were really sharp onto the ball there. A little bit more desperation to win back possession and keep it alive. They did that, and they've got a corner for the rewards. Ched Evans, though, super play. Again, at centre forward, getting the ball down, bringing teammates into play.
Yeah, just dropping deep, good awareness, getting into the right position. It was a lovely turn that got the better of Bentancur. Evans amongst those attacking this corner. Plenty in front of Fraser Forster. It's a really poor delivery. You've waited an hour for your first corner. You don't need it to be fired 3 feet off the ground and straight at the nearest defender. Better ball in from Brady the second time of asking. Headed down by Cannon towards the edge of the penalty area when a defter flick on might have been more effective, but that's very easy to say from here. Spurs try and break quickly but don't get too far. Whiteman bringing it forward again for Preston. Back it goes out to the left-hand side of the penalty area. Cannon turning inside. Was he fouled? If he was, it was right on the edge of the box, and the referee said not only was he not fouled, it was a dive, and he's carded him. Yellow card for Tom Cannon.
Wow, that is a big call from referee Mr. Barnes. I thought there was contact. I thought he moved his feet really well, showing a great bit of composure and skill to move the ball inside and then outside of the box, and he seemed to get clipped, but the referee's a lot closer than we are here in the press box, and he deemed it a dive, and he's got his yellow card out.
Tommy Cannon the first to get a yellow card today. He's a player that comes from Merseyside. We'll talk about the fact he's on loan from Everton. He would play his international football for Ireland, and it's hard, to be honest, to see him not getting full international honours if he can continue the upward curve at the progress that he's had over the last 18 months, 2 years or so. He's involved here again, trying to set up Ched Evans. He's got a great work rate about him, and he's won his side of throw here.
He has, and it's almost a novelty sometimes, you know, to kind of engrave that into a striker. You know, you think about strikers like Tevez and even Julian Alvarez, who's gone to Manchester City. If you've got that to add to your goal-scoring prowess, it's a fantastic tool to have, and he seemed to have that naturally, so that'll bode well for him in his career.
The North End on the front foot again here. Bissouma, a brick wall that they couldn't get past. Whiteman onto his left foot. And Forster knew that he had it covered. He dived inside it. It didn't miss by much better from Preston, who are beginning to try and be a little bit more proactive on the front foot. But they trailed Tottenham to that Son goal 6 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, good little movement, manipulating his first touch, chopping it across his body onto his left side, about 18-20 yards out, just outside the box. And he's tried that little near post curler with his left foot, and it's probably a couple of yards outside the post, but great effort. Good vision.
Spurs try and play the ball for Son. It's cleared. And then knocked away by Woodman on the end of it. Again, Cannon, tall, dark-haired youngster. Brought down in the midfield by Ledson, and Bissouma's fouled him. The referee let the first one go. Preston still in possession. Ledson sportingly straight back to his feet, acknowledging that Bissouma did what Ledson himself probably would have done. No complaints at all from Ryan Ledson, but it is a free kick which Preston will take. About 8 yards inside Tottenham territory. We've played 63 minutes. It's Preston 0, Spurs 1 on Talksport, with Manchester United Reading to come. 9 live FA Cup ties for you over the course of this weekend on the Talksport network. I'll tell you what's coming up shortly tomorrow. The ball played inside the penalty area. Forster can deal with it and gets it forward. Brady winning it back. Rather than tell you what's coming up shortly tomorrow, it probably makes more sense to tell you what's coming up tomorrow shortly. And it is Brighton against Liverpool at 1:30, and then at 4:30, Wrexham against Sheffield United. We're on air at 1 with a build-up for both of those games from the racecourse ground ahead of a very special tie there. Wrexham against Sheffield United tomorrow, but Brighton-Liverpool first up. Monday night, Derby against West Ham. A build-up at 7 ahead of a 7:45 kickoff. We've played 64 here at Deepdale. Son's goal on 51, the difference between the two sides. It was a rasping drive. Preston in possession with Hughes. Back to Lindsay. Lindsay all the way back to his goalkeeper, Woodman. He takes a touch, he's put under immediate pressure from Perisic, who's often been the furthest forward of the Spurs attacking triumvirate. Woodman forced into a hasty clearance and Tottenham were able to pick it up easily in the midfield. That's been another recurring feature of the game. Bentancur back for Sanchez. Sanchez away from Longley down towards Sessegnon, playing it forward here for Tottenham into the feet of Yves Bissouma. Yves Bissouma, whose last goal in the FA Cup actually came against Tottenham for Brighton a couple of seasons ago.
Took a while to get going, hasn't he? It's not quite happened for him as yet at Tottenham Hotspur.
And he's got it again now in the midfield. Bissouma playing it down to the left-hand side. Actually, that was his last FA Cup tie that he played. That victory for Spurs against Brighton when he was a Brighton player. Ball inside the penalty area, and it just took a little nick, I think, of Lindsay. Perisic putting the pressure on. Perisic and Lindsay both attacking the same ball, and Woodman had to adjust quickly, and probably was Perisic that got the dominant contact on it, but a decent save. And Woodman sticking his hands above his head to help it on its way over the bar.
Yeah, cute little ball in. Just felt one in there, just into an area, and Perisic attacked it well. He was well marshalled by Lindsay, and I thought it was a goal kick, but it was a good save in the end.
20 gone second half, 1-0 Tottenham. Here's Son on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Bissouma firing it in deep towards the back post, but none of the Spurs players could stretch and make contact. Doherty, the man that was closest to it, goes out of play for a goal kick. These two have been drawn together 5 times in cup competitions since their last league meeting, which came back in Tottenham's double winning season of 60-61. Tottenham won the last 4 of those cup ties. The last FA Cup meeting back in 68. Subsequent games in the League Cup as well, most recently here in the 09-10 season, where Peter Crouch scored a hat-trick in a 5-1 win. Back in the day, just over 100 years ago, the two sides played each other in successive seasons in the FA Cup semi-finals and won 1 apiece. But in this 4th round tie, it's advantage Tottenham. Ball is cleared by Woodman. Headed back by Longley. Brought down in the midfield by McCann. Ledson out for Brady. Brady trying to get away from Kulusevski, bringing it forward over the halfway line. He's done well to squeeze it into the path of Cannon. Be taken on again by McCann. Cannon on the edge of the penalty area waiting for the return ball, but Tottenham had enough bodies back to be able to get it away from him. Son ran into trouble in the midfield. Lindsay stepping up from the defensive line, winning it cleanly. He finds McCann. McCann back inside his own half for Hughes. And now Story down to the Preston right-hand side for Brown. And the Irish international waiting for a few options to become available either side of him. He dragged it into a more central area. Feeds Ledson. Ledson first time wide for Brady. Brady with a chance to shape a cross in. Again, too low and flaps in. A few of those from him.
Yeah, we're disappointed in that. 5 white shirts in the 18-yard box there. Missed that near post man. He didn't do that on that occasion. Similar to the corner. You know, these are big opportunities where Preston can get the ball into the box and they can really make them count. But the delivery has been absolutely woeful up till now. Better play, though, from Preston. You know, the build-up play, competing for that second ball when the ball breaks loose. I think it's been a much better second-half performance in possession. Defensively, they've been good too.
Well, they've got attacking options on the bench. They've got Ben Woodburn, who is a midfielder by trade, but has been playing up front in a 5-3-2 for Preston recently. They've got the youngster Cross Adair as well. Now we are going to see the first Preston substitute of the night brought on very shortly. Longley heading it away. Now it's brought down by Doherty on the Tottenham right. No sign of too much action on the Spurs bench as yet, but I'm sure it won't be too long. In fact, right on cue there is going to be a Tottenham substitute in a few moments' time as well. Yves Bissouma in possession for Spurs, who lead it by a goal to nil. We're just in the final quarter of the game here on Talksport, with Manchester United against Reading to come. Another chance for Spurs to bring it forward. Perisic, clever little touch from him. Son, great turn from Son. Good finish. That is another great goal. He scored a couple tonight, both very different, both of real high quality. Son Heung-min with a brace, and no problems here in the Lancashire mist for Tottenham Hotspur. Preston 0, Spurs 2.
Yeah, again, it's difficult not to be impressed with his professionalism. His performance has been outstanding. He's kept running all night. But when he gets the ball to feet in and around the 18-yard box, he is dangerous. Clinical. Great first touch round the corner to him. He twists the defender inside out. He's nowhere near him. He's almost not in the same postcode. Great movement. And with his left foot, he finds the back of the net. I think the pace beats Woodman more than anything. But great feet in the box and change direction and clinical finish. 2-0 Spurs.
That was just an outstanding goal all round. Great interplay. And then Son just with the presence of mind, speed of thought, speed of feet, and the speed of the shot to match as well. 2-0. Spurs lead at Preston, and difficult to see too much of a way back now. Woodburn on for Ledson is the first Preston change. Ben Woodman, a player who scored in a League Cup quarter-final as a 17-year-old for Liverpool. A player that signed from Liverpool over the summer, a Welsh international. Replacing Ryan Ledson and playing in his favoured role as one of the three midfielders here for Preston. We talked about the need to stick, the need to twist, when the changes would be made. Well, they're going to have, with a 2-goal deficit, to have to be a lot more proactive now. It's going to be a double change for Spurs as well. Bentancur is the first man that's coming off, and Oliver Skipp is going to replace him. And Sessegnon is coming off, and it's going to be a Tottenham debut for Arnaud Danjuma. Emerson Royale for Doherty is the third and final change for now. So Skip for Bentancur, Emerson Royale for Doherty, and Danjuma for Sessegnon. A move that you would imagine we'll see Perisic dropping at left wing back and Danjuma play further forward. But it'll be interesting to see Danjuma in a Tottenham shirt. He caught the eye a lot for Bournemouth.
He did. I think he's been an improving player. As he gets older, he seems to be getting better, more mature, and he can affect games, and he's certainly an asset in that final third. So let's see what he can bring to the party.
Dutch international is on loan from Villarreal. They have been very heavily linked with a move to Everton, and Tottenham managed to get it over the line in the last minute.
I think that says more about Tottenham than what it does at Everton. You know, it's a difficult one to go into Everton with them being in a relegation battle and the club all over the place to a certain extent. But when Tottenham come in, I think you look at the stadium, you look at the profile of the football club, it's almost a no-brainer. But I think he was unlucky not to go to the World Cup. He had a foot injury, or he could have been in the Dutch squad. So, yeah, but he's still got points to prove, and I'm expecting him to make an impact at Spurs.
And he's playing at the moment through the middle with Kulusevski on the right and Son on the left, and Perisic has dropped in at left wing back. But Danjuma very versatile. Didn't see him play through the middle too frequently at Bournemouth. Tended to play wider. Did play through the middle on occasions though. That's the role that he has here. We've got 18 minutes of normal time to go, and it's Preston 0, Tottenham 2.
It's not a bad forward three though, is it? For the latter parts of games when there's tired defenders on the pitch.
Danjuma certainly will have the pace to try and stretch Lindsay. Preston will try and defend with a high line at their peril, at real risk of doing that now. Here's Longley, played down to the Tottenham left for Perisic. Perisic coming in from a deeper position, getting to the byline, and then past the byline, past Alan Brown, and over the line and out of play for a goal kick. How do Preston change this around with 17 to go?
I think they've got to throw a little bit of caution to the wind. They've got to start getting the ball. Listen, I think they've done better second half in possession. They've been braver. They've got good patterns of play in the middle of the park. They've got the ball into wide areas. I have to give credit to the full-backs or the wing-backs for Spurs, because I feel they have stopped a lot of the balls coming into the box and taking that threat away. But in general, I think they've been better this second half in possession. It's just that two pieces of magic from probably the best player on the pitch, Heung-min Son, and they're 2-0 down, and that's why they find themselves behind in this game.
You listen to Preston 0, Tottenham 2 in the FA Cup. It's live on Talksport with Carling. We're made by our mates 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. Brady tried to win it back over on the far touchline from Emerson Royale. Couldn't do so. And he goes out of play for a Tottenham throw.
Got to say down this right-hand side at wing-back, Alan Brown, he's impressed me immensely with his defensive performance. You know, he's really stuck to his task. He's been asked a lot of questions from really good players, Sessegnon, Son at times, and he's really he stood up and to be counted. He's done a really good job down that right-hand side for Preston.
Tottenham fans in fine voice. Their team getting the job done. Here's Danjuma. Good ball retention from him. Clever little reverse ball as well. Danjuma showing for the return and nearly got it as well. Kulusevski couldn't find him. He then finds Brown in his way and pushes him to the ground. The free kick goes to Preston North End. Preston, ultimate aim, as we were mentioning earlier, is getting themselves into the Premier League.
It is easy when you're 2-0 up and you've just brought on a fresh body and you've got that forward front three of Kulusevski and Danjuma and Son, but you can just see the interjection of play there and the way that they link up. And it was actually really good defending again by Alan Brown to make sure he narrowed up, or else Danjuma was in for a shot central of goal. But Alan Brown, seen the danger, came more central from his right wing-back position and was managed to get to the ball first before Danjuma pulled the trigger. But then free could be an exciting forward free for Spurs in the Premier League. And if you add Harry Kane to that, explosion.
Absolutely. Preston have a free kick. Brady standing over it. Motions that he's going to take it quickly. Nobody was deceived. This will be teased into that penalty area, which at the moment is completely vacant, save for the yellow-clad Fraser Forster. Everybody looking to make differing runs. Chet Evans trying to get around the back of Longley. Fired in now by Brady. Better delivery, but still cleared. Brought down in the midfield by Preston's Ben Woodburn. And it comes down for Whiteman. Whiteman to his right-hand side for Brown. Whiteman will continue his run forward, but it will just be played back inside for Woodburn. Worked by Brown back out of the left-hand side for Brady. Brady clipping it. More deft touch that time, but Bissouma heads it away on the edge of the area. Son picking it up, fires it immediately wide to the right-hand side for Perisic. Danjuma trying to make his way through the middle. McCann had done well actually with Lindsay upfield to attack that last set piece. McCann had dropped back in at centre half for a moment. Here's Emerson Royale finding himself on the Tottenham left for a moment. And he's played it back for Bissouma. Now Japhet Tanganga making his way forward. Down he comes towards Son, who's on a hat-trick. His next goal will be his 140th for Tottenham. Right-hand side of the penalty area, Kulusevski trying to trick his way through, but didn't quite have the guard on that occasion. And it goes into the hands of Woodman. In the league, Preston find themselves only a couple of points off the top five. It's very congested, the race for the playoffs. And they've got a big game coming up, Bristol City here, then they go to Burnley, which is always, irrespective of context, a massive game in this part of the world. 50 different teams have played in the Premier League. It'll be very interesting to look into the future and see who the 51st different Premier League side will be. Whether it be Preston or a Luton or a Bristol City or maybe a Plymouth, even someone like that. And Preston will hope that it is them at some stage. They're going to make another change now. Brady coming off. So Alvaro Fernandez is coming on. And McCann also will make way. And Daniel Johnson is coming on. So Johnson for McCann. Alvaro Fernandez is on loan from Manchester United, the young Spaniard.
We spoke earlier, didn't we, about him with Faye? And you look at the performance from Robbie Brady, and you understand why he can't break into the side, because that was a really accomplished performance from Robbie Brady. And on the other side, Alan Brown, both wing-backs have probably been the best players for Preston in this game. And you understand why he can't get into the team when you see performances like that.
Here's Johnson, the Jamaican midfielder, who's a part of the furniture here at Deepdale. More than 300 games for the club behind him over his 8.5 years here since his move from Villa. And he's played it back through the centre circle. And Preston will bring it forward again with Hughes. They trail by 2-0. They need 2 in 12 minutes plus stoppage time to take this to a replay. It's looking unlikely at the moment. And Spurs managing the game very effectively. It's been an accomplished job. Well done, not a spectacular Spurs win. 2 very impressive goals have been the difference between the two sides. But Preston have a corner, and if they can score from this, it'll set up a frantic last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think part of that last statement, Jim, you have to give credit to the way that Preston set out. And although they weren't cavalier going forward and didn't create loads of chances. What have we got left? 10 minutes, is it?
Yep.
10 minutes to go, and they're still in this game. You know, if they can nick a goal now from the set piece, like what we're seeing now, this corner, they've got a great chance of getting back into this game. But the worst thing is when you play against these top sides, you think you can go toe-to-toe with them, and you end up getting funked 5-6-0, and then that momentum's gone. They've won 3 out of the last 4 games. Keep that winning mentality. Keep that mentality where you don't want to concede goals.
Well, they have a corner here, which is their second of the night. Evans is standing in the near post area. Johnson a little bit deeper. Coming round the back, Hughes and Cannon. Well, it was Cannon that was putting the pressure on Forster, but his handling was assured.
Unfair advantage. He's huge, isn't he?
He is a proper unit. Fraser Forster, man who won the Scottish Cup a couple of times.
Yep.
In his days with Celtic, his first spell with Celtic. He's playing just his 4th game for Tottenham today. He's skip in the midfield. Son.
Always bewilders me that about goalkeepers, how they can be the main man at a club and then go to arguably a bigger club or a bigger league and become second fiddle. I don't quite get that.
His skip. Put under a little bit of pressure, finds Davison Sanchez. He'll skip again. Could change the direction, actually. Good little swivel. He's played it forward, and Son was chasing after it. It was well defended. Little flick header back towards Woodman, who was chasing outside of his penalty area to the right-hand side of the box. Swept up, got there ahead of Perisic and put it out of play for a throw, which Tottenham take.
You know his teammates were desperate for him to just dive on the ball with his hands there, but he obviously didn't feel he could stop his momentum if he did that, to stay inside the 18-yard box, and decided to clear it.
Emerson Royale back out of the Tottenham right-hand side. Tanganga making his way forward. He's done really well, gets to the byline, comes back from the corner flag, still in possession. Son threaded forward towards Kulusevski, cleared out as far as Basuma. Another chance for Spurs to deliver. Can't find Danjuma. I mentioned earlier, Harry Kane's played in every Tottenham game since Antonio Conte came to the club, but with 7 minutes to go, does he get the night off here? He is waiting on the bench, but does his record as an ever-present under Conte end tonight? 65 games he's played under Conte, 38 goals he's scored.
I don't think anyone's going to question his commitment to Conte or the club either. I mean, he's been ill all week. They're 2-0 up, going into the final stages of the game. We've got a huge game against Manchester City next week. I think when you've had, especially if it's been a flu or cold-related illness, it's better to stay calm and if not needed, don't get involved and get that full recovery, and then he can be fresh for the Manchester City game.
Will that be the occasion of goal number 267 in Tottenham colours for Harry Kane? Spurs have possession. Kulusevski losing out to Woodburn. Whiteman playing it out to the left-hand side for Alvaro Fernandez, but the young Spaniard has lost it. It's Kulusevski bringing it forward for Spurs, taking it on and trying to take them all on. Alvaro Fernandez with the long black hair brings it away and then loses it immediately. Now work towards Son on the edge of the penalty area. Danjuma waiting. Kulusevski knocked off his feet as he tried to play it in. I say knocked off his feet of his own volition. He just really tried to hammer it inside the 6-yard box and fell over as he tried to smack it in. Preston can bring it away, and Johnson's in tremendous in that, and then Brown past the invisible man.
That was a bubble. I seen it bubble up and I felt for him. Good position as well to just recycle the ball, start again and take a little bit of this pressure that Tottenham have. A little hold on the game at the moment, managing this game really well. I'm sure Conte's pleased with how they're managing this game, keeping possession, getting in dangerous positions in that final third, and not really risking this scoreline at the moment.
Yeah, you had a feel for Brown there. There was absolutely nothing he could do about that. There's Basuma.
Read the bubble.
Oh, yeah. Tanganga. Spurs bring it forward over the halfway line again. Son's got the ball at his feet. The player is on a hat-trick. Basuma down for Perisic. It's 2-0 to Tottenham with 6.5 minutes to go. Perisic plays it in straight into the midriff of Freddie Woodman.
It's a good ball. He needed a player just to take a little gamble there, one of the forwards. Take a gamble, get any kind of touch on that, it ends up in the back of the net, or it's going to be an unbelievable save by Freddie Woodman if it's on target, just because of the pace of the ball.
Spurs fans going through the vocal repertoire. Spurs are marching in successfully to the round of 16, the FA Cup 5th round. Another change is going to be made here. It won't be a hat-trick for Son tonight. It's Brian Hill who is going to come on to replace him. A change made with 6 minutes to go. Reminder, Manchester United against Reading kicks off at 8 and will be at Old Trafford at the conclusion of this game. And then tonight from 10, we've got live and exclusive radio commentary of Artur Beterbiev against Anthony Yard for the unified light heavyweight crown. That's here on Talksport. Tomorrow morning, England's men take on South Africa in the second one-day international, live and exclusive from 7:30 on Talksport 2. And also tomorrow, it's the AFC Championship game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs, live on Talksport 2 from 11 will also be your Super Bowl station, Talksport 2, in a couple of weeks' time. This one approaching the last knockings, and Spurs still very comfortable. Preston need 2 in the last 5 minutes on the night, but they've only had 1 shot on target in the first 85 minutes up to this point, and it is going to be a 5th home defeat in 6 games in all competitions for Ryan Lowe's men, but they will have taken some positives out of it. Spurs can bring it away with Skip finding Bissouma. Bissouma turning towards the edge of his own penalty area, immediately closed down by Woodburn and Johnson, but he could find a man, and Skip brings it forward, had the chance to look up, finds Brian Hill. Hill taking it on, then checking back away from Johnson to find Perisic. Perisic sends an aerial crossfield ball out to the Tottenham right-hand side. It'll just be played forward again by Spurs with Emerson Royale. Emerson Royale bringing it under control. Played back. Skip.
It's good football, isn't it? I mean, listen, it's easy on the eye, and it's a lot easier when you're 2-0 up going into the final 5 minutes of the game, but it's great football. They're managing this game by keeping possession, getting them little patterns of play, and kind of frustrating the life out of this Preston side at the moment.
Perisic was frustrated as well there. He made a really good run down the inside left channel, but he needed an early ball from Longley. It wasn't forthcoming, and he couldn't hide his dismay. Sanchez with a push on the back of Ched Evans. Not penalised for that. Oh, they almost got Danjuma in with the ball clipped past Lindsay. But Preston recovered. Bissouma has it now. Played forward by Hill at his right-hand side. Doherty with a chance possibly to deliver. Danjuma scores on his debut. And Spurs are in round 5. Arno Danjuma tapping it in. His first for Spurs. A job very professionally done in this second half.
Yeah, perfect night, I have to say. You know, they've not had to lean on Harry Kane's expertise in front of goal. They've been professional. They've managed the game really well. 2 pieces of class from Heung-min Son in the opening 2 goals for Spurs, and then to wrap it all up, the debut boy comes on off the bench and scores his first goal for Spurs. Great night, 3-0 and job done.
That was good play by Kulusevski, who did well on the right-hand side of the penalty area and played it back. Freddie Woodman, the beaten Preston goalkeeper there, actually just looking at the big screen to wonder how Kulusevski had found the amount of space that he did. Played it back, nobody had picked up Danjuma, and with the benefit of a stumble from Lindsay, he was just able to scuff the ball into the bottom left-hand corner of the net.
Sometimes you talk about, you know, making the right move and starting at your new club on the front foot with positives. Danjuma can't have asked for a better start than that. You know, he's had a few touches of the ball, been quite passive in this game since he come on, not really done anything, but then to get one put on a plate like that by Kulusevski, it's a perfect start, and it'll just give him that confidence. 1 goal, 1 game. Forwards always, you know, rely on the goal record. 1 goal, 1 game. Fantastic start to his Tottenham Hotspur career, and he'll hope to be able to build on that and go into his career at Tottenham with loads of confidence.
Well, we saw a raft of shocks in FA Cup round 3, but none in round 4. Up to this point, Spurs making it through pretty comfortably in the end tonight. Here's Hill. Bissouma. Back for Hill again. Perisic. The Tottenham side showing 7 changes, but been very efficient in this second half. 3 goals in 36 minutes in this second period. 2 for Son, 1 for Danjuma on his debut, which is his 7th goal of the season all told. Bissouma now bringing it forward towards the halfway line. It took a deflection on its way towards Perisic, and that took it into the path of Brown. Preston looking for a consolation. Worked forward by Johnson towards the edge of the penalty area. Evans has run tirelessly all night and just has a little nibble there at Brian Hill's, fouled him, and it's a free kick which Spurs will take as we go into the 90th minute.
Yeah, I could see that foul coming about three or 4 seconds before it happened. You could see there, forward had just got really frustrated. This game is running away from Preston, and you know it's almost out of sight, and you could just see that frustration start to build on the Preston players trying to get possession of the football.
Preston will make another change, and it is the young striker Finn Crossadare, who's only 18, came on for the final 30 minutes in the cup win over Huddersfield, and he comes on for his 6th senior appearance for Preston's first team. He replaces Chet Evans. So Crossadare very much one for the future, but he will be able to say that he played against Tottenham as an 18-year-old, and we go to 3 minutes of time added on at the end of the game.
Great occasion for him, getting on the pitch, playing against Premier League players. I'm sure his parents are really proud that he's actually made that step.
He'll be able to say that he played against Tottenham, and he will be able to say that he touched the ball. I was cynically going to say that he might not be able to say that, but the ball has been played his way. Just 3 minutes for Crossadare to shine, just a chance for him to enjoy the experience as much as anything else, a reward for the hard yards that he's put in as a youngster to get himself to this point. But
absolutely.
We're in 3 minutes of added time. No sign of the first, let alone the third goal that Preston need from this point. Just looking again at their league season, I talked about the fact they're only a couple of points off the top 5. They've only scored 8 in 14 home league games this season. Do they?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of politics involved. Obviously, they lost their chairman last season, Trevor Hemmings, who's been a fantastic servant to the football club and steward of the football club. Craig, his son's come in to take control of the football club. I think Peter Risdale's here as well, who was my chief executive when I was at Cardiff, and we managed to get to the FA Cup final with a championship side. A fantastic year I had there. But going back, you know, they're trying to get the debts down. They're trying to, you know, put the figures and the accountancy and the financial side in a better way. So there's a lot to do here for Ryan Lowe, and obviously you mentioned it earlier in the show. They're bringing in certain loan players. They've got certain players that are signed, and that's how it's going to be, and that's how it is for a lot of championship sides. But I think 11th, 2 points off the playoffs, and you know, playing decent, attractive football. If they can start to reflect that form at home, their away form at home, I think they've got a great chance because they've got a good team and they play attractive football, and they defend, as we've seen. As we've seen tonight, for a lot of this game, they can defend really well.
Yeah, 8 goals here, more than twice as many as that away from home. Just a brief hiatus there. We had a pitch invader about 5 minutes or so ago. Another one has now been restrained. Order has been restored, and we're back underway again. Spurs working it forward, looking for a fourth right at the end of the game. It's clipped inside the penalty area. Lindsay heads it away, and Tottenham have a late call now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's very difficult now. You know, as a player who's been in this scenario many times against a team that's winning by 3 goals, 2 or 3 goals, every player in that Tottenham side wants the ball. You know, so the confidence is flowing through the team, and it's very difficult to stem that flow and to stay in the game. But fair play to Preston and the starting 11. They're trying to do that, but very difficult task.
In comes the corner, swept in towards the near post. A little flick on could have been potent, but nobody could get in behind it to get the contact. And Fernandes watches it out of play for a throw that Preston will take in their right back position if there's time to take it, and there isn't. Well, round 3 saw a number of significant scalps. We haven't had a major one in round 4 so far in a giant killing act. Spurs easily making it through in the second half tonight. A comfortable performance with 2 goals from Son and 1 from Danjuma. It's the first time in more than 40 years that Tottenham have got through to round 5 in 4 successive seasons. This one going with the form book. It finishes Preston 0, Tottenham 3.